Hello and welcome to CSU RSO Officer Training. My name is Dan Lenhart. This training session is for all presidents, vice presidents, and secretaries of student organizations at Cleveland State. If you are a treasurer, you are free to watch this session. However, you have a separate training that you must complete. Please do not forget to complete the quiz after watching this video. Link to the quiz is found in the description of this video below on YouTube. By the end of this training, officers should know basic RSO requirements and fiscal policies, event and travel policies, request submission timelines. We will discuss a little bit about fundraising and where your resources are located and using VikesConnect. RSO stands for Recognized Student Organization. To be an RSO, you must have 4 core officers to make up your executive board and a full-time member of the university faculty or staff to be your advisor. Your organization may have different titles for those positions. For example, some organizations use the term chair instead of president, or captain if they're a sport club, which is fine. So long as you have the 4 basic officers and an advisor, you are an RSO. As an RSO, you can apply for funding. We have 3 funding organizations, depending on the type of organization you are. You can also reserve space on campus and hold events, as well as travel and send members to conferences and conventions. You have full use of your organization's agency account. You can also request to have your organization's banner hung in the Student Center atrium, so long as there's space, as well as using university duplicating services as supported by your funds. To be an officer, you must be enrolled in at least 6 credit hours in a degree-seeking program at Cleveland State University. You must also be in good academic standing, and as earn good standing while in office. If you're an undergraduate, that's a 2.0 cumulative GPA. If you are a grad student, that's a 3.0. Law school students, it's a 2.25. If your organization does not have all 4 required officers, you'll be considered emerging. Emerging organizations, while active, are not fully recognized and cannot participate in certain activities, such as holding events on campus and travel or requesting funding. They may still hold meetings, do tabling events, and attend career fairs. We want you focused on filling those open officer roles. We will allow you to be an emerging organization for only 1 semester. If you're still emerging after the end of the semester, your organization will be suspended until you can find officers to fill those open seats. Be aware, without an advisor, we will not allow you to be active at all. Your organization will be put on a hold until an advisor can be identified. Anytime you need to change an officer or advisor during the school year, there is a form that you need to complete. It's called the Officer Advisor Update Form. It's found in VikesConnect. Let me know who you're replacing with who. Verify eligibility, and if eligible, place them in their position and give them their admin rights. Please allow 10 business days for processing. Only the treasurers of your organization will have access to the finance tools. However, you need to have a basic understanding of how the accounts work here at Cleveland State. So essentially, organizations have 2 accounts. Their main account is what we call your agency account. That acts as your bank account. Cleveland State does require oversight over all your fiscal operations. Therefore, you cannot open an external bank account, say at Huntington Bank, for your club. All your banking must be done through the university's accounting system. Any positive balance you have will transfer over from year to year. There is a number associated with your agency account, which is found in the details section of your page in VikesConnect. All agency accounts have the same format, the 84050890 and X's. The 12345 is a number that's unique just to your organization, and it's that 5-digit number that you will find in the detail section. There are times when we will ask you for your agency account. This way you can look it up yourself without having to contact your treasurer. The other account that you have is your temporary funding account. There are 3 funding bodies, as I mentioned. If you are a sport club, you would request funding from the Sport Club Council. If you are part of a law school organization, you would request additional funding from the Student Bar Association. All other organizations can request additional funding from Student Government Association. Money that you're given by the funding body is to be used for the purpose you asked. Any remaining funds go back to the funding body to give to somebody else. So as an example, if you asked for $500 to put on an event and you ended up spending 400 of that 500, your club does not get to keep that $100 left over. It will go back to the funding body for reallocation. I want to talk about events now. There are 3 basic kinds of events. There's off-campus events, travel events, and then on-campus events. First, I want to talk a little bit about off-campus and travel events. There seems to be some confusion sometimes with students of which is which. So if you're traveling and you're going 25 miles or further from campus, if you're staying overnight, or if any of your travel costs are being reimbursed, like mileage, then that's a good chance that's going to be a travel event, and you need to follow travel policies, and travel paperwork will need to be completed before you leave. However, if you're planning something a little bit more local, but not on campus, like going as a group to volunteer at a nonprofit, or visit the zoo, or do a car wash at a local parking lot as a fundraiser, those, while off campus, are not travel events. Those would be considered off campus events. Both events you do want to create in VikesConnect so that you do have a record. I do understand, though, that maybe you only want the members of your organization to see that event. You can mark events so that only people on your roster can see your event. I will show you how to do that once we get into VikesConnect. So as far as planning events on campus, please allow yourself enough time to plan accordingly. It didn't seem last year as though students realized how much time it takes sometimes to plan events, especially when you're ordering things and waiting for them to be delivered. If you have contracts that need to be completed and signed, your advisor has to approve things. Conference services needs to know in advance. So, there's a lot of things that can go on with a more complicated event. Obviously, there's not going to be as much planning if you need to do a table on the interlink because you're going to do some recruiting, versus doing a dinner dance fundraiser in the student center ballroom with a $5 cover charge on a Saturday night. That larger event is obviously going to take more time to plan accordingly. So be aware of that. Also be aware that some policies that campus has may impact your plans as well. So you do need to be aware of all those things. You also need to work with your treasurer, because if holding events on campus might cost your organization money. Do you have the funds? Will you need to ask for additional funding? How much will you need? All those things you should figure out while you're planning your event. Understand that conference services needs to know about all events, even though they don't control all spaces on campus. If there is an emergency on campus, police will reach out to conference services first to find out what rooms are being used. So you will always submit your event in VikesConnect, even if conference services does not schedule that space. Make sure you do follow their classification timelines. That is very important. We'll go over that in a little bit once we're into your resources. I do also provide you with event planning checklist. Please take advantage of that and use that. When you're planning an event on campus, if you know that you're going to need additional funding, I would recommend that you request the space first, even if you don't have the funding yet. I saw too many times when students would wait to see if they get funding, and then they go to request the space they want to use, only to find out it's already been taken. So go ahead, request the space. If you don't get the funding, then cancel your space reservation. Don't forget that contracts do take time. We ask 45 days advance notice for that. We also want you to start checking people into your events. You can either use the Modern Campus Involved app, or you can use the desktop version with or without a card swipe. Please, if you're playing music, keep it family friendly, no explicit lyrics. And when you're planning, as I mentioned before, there could be additional costs. The university will not charge your organization for the use of the room itself. However, they would charge you if you want the room set up a certain way or need additional equipment. I have been told by housekeeping that they will charge you housekeeping fees if you leave a mess after your event. I've also been told by them that if you clean up after and leave the place neat, they won't charge you those housekeeping fees. In that one example I gave where there's a $5 cover charge, that means there's cash on hand. And anytime there's cash on hand, security is required. There's a base cost of $220 for one security for 4 hours. So be aware of that. Finally, if you do have an event that you've submitted, it's been approved, and you can see it in VikesConnect, if you need to cancel that event, or if you need to change the time, date, or location, there is a form that you must complete first and give to conference services. If you just go into VikesConnect and either delete the event or edit the date, time, or location, that will not notify conference services. You must complete the form first, give it to them, have them approve it. Once it's approved, then you can make your changes in VikesConnect. If you reserve space on campus and do not show up, your organization will be assessed a $50 no-show fee. So it is very important that you cancel properly. Please make sure you are planning in advance when you're planning events on campus. Be aware if you're having food on campus, there are policies. You can spend up to $300, get your food from anywhere. But once you hit $300, university requires you to either use catering or Rascal House. Once you hit $750, you must use catering. There is one exception to this. If you want certain kinds of dishes or food served at your event that catering cannot provide, but you have a local caterer or restaurant that can, you will need to go through the waiver process and ask permission from catering to use that external organization. Also, when you are working with outside caterers, it is very important that you check with them and see if they're willing to take a university purchase order. If you want Rascal House pizza, please remember 7 business days. I do have a university credit card. Last year, I got a lot of emails and phone calls from students telling me they forgot to order pizza for their meeting. I would place the order and use my university credit card to pay for the food. However, I was told by the university's auditors that that is an improper use of my university credit card, and I'm no longer permitted to do that and order food for your organization. So be aware of that. When it comes to travel, I need to know 45 days in advance. Unlike events, when it comes to travel, you must have funding in place. When you fill out the travel request form and your advisor approves it, I will be notified and reach out to your organization. We will set a meeting, and you'll bring with you to that meeting all the information about your trip. Flight information if you're flying or bus or train, or if you need to rent a car, your accommodation. So I'll take care of the hotels, B&B, wherever you're staying. If there's conference fees or any other kind of cost associated with attending the event, I'll also pay for all those. That's when I use my university credit card. Please do not make your own travel arrangements. I will take care of that for you. That is proper use of my agency or my credit card for your organization. So I will make all your travel arrangements. Travelers should only have to pay out of their own pocket their meals. It's up to your organization to decide whether or not you're going to reimburse them. There is no policy that says you must. It's really up to your organization. If you are going to reimburse them, they do have to turn in itemized receipts. Your treasurer will have 10 business days once they return to get them reimbursed. If members of your club decide to travel without notifying my office and no paperwork has been completed ahead of time, if they go on a trip and just show back up with receipts and wanting to be reimbursed, we cannot reimburse them. The forms must be completed, signed, and approved no later than 3 business days prior to leaving. Without any of that necessary paperwork, we cannot reimburse the individual. So please make sure you let all of your members know about that. A couple other things about spending your club's money that you should be aware of. First of all, if you are going to order clothing or promotional items, there are specific vendors you have to use. Your treasurer is trained on how to order those kind of items. So be aware of that. Don't take it upon yourself just to go online like to customink.com and make your own t-shirts for your club. You must use one of those vendors. If you do need to buy things online for your club or organization, please do not purchase them yourself. You may not get all your money back or any of your money back. The university has accounts with Amazon and Apple. If you were to make purchases for your club on Amazon, the university will not reimburse you. Anytime you shop online, you're still paying state of Ohio sales tax. Cleveland State, being a state institution in Ohio, does not pay for or reimburse for state of Ohio sales tax. It's always better to work with your treasurer. Your treasurer is taught how to place orders with us. We will place orders for you. We want to avoid you having to spend your own money if at all possible. However, we do understand that sometimes things happen. You may have to go to the store to pick up a few items for an event. That does happen. If before you go to a store, if you can let me know where you're shopping, there is a tax exempt form I can fill out for you. You can come by my office and pick it up, take it to you with you to the store, show the cashier, and they will not charge you state of Ohio sales tax. It does have Cleveland State University's tax ID number on it. That way you can get reimbursed for the full purchase. Okay. Fundraising. Organizations are permitted to do fundraising. We encourage creativity. The only thing that you need to be aware of is gambling is not a permitted activity for fundraising unless you're a 501c3 nonprofit. Again, Cleveland State is not a nonprofit. We're a state institution. And so by default, none of our organizations are nonprofit either. So 50-50 raffles, any types of games of chance, including bingo, squares like Super Bowl squares are not permitted. Any type of activity where people pay money for the chance to win a bigger pot of money, and the money could be cash or gift cards. Gift cards are considered cash as well. Any money you raise has to be deposited within 24 hours. If you want to accept credit card payments for fundraisers, or if your organization charges membership dues and members want to pay using their credit card, as I mentioned before, you're not allowed to do any external fiscal activity. That includes accepting credit card payments. You must use ShopNet to accept credit card payments. This is a responsibility of your treasurer to set up. Do not use Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, Eventbrite, GoFundMe, or any third-party app or website to accept credit card payments for your organization. It must be done through ShopNet. If you are holding bake sale, be aware of university food sales policies that must be store-bought items and individually wrapped. Finally, if you get a company that contacts your organization and they want you to sell their products on campus, you are not permitted to do those types of fundraisers simply because the university does not allow companies to use organizations to sell their products on campus. If you're planning a fundraiser and you're not sure if it's allowed, please reach out to me and I'll work with you. A couple final reminders, please check your CSU email and use your CSU email account when you're conducting business with us as opposed to your personal account. Because we are a state school, we are subject to open records requests, and that also includes emails. So please try to remember, use your university email account when you are emailing us. Do pay close attention to deadlines. They will sneak up on you. Always keep your advisor in the loop. You should be inviting your advisor to your meetings. We tell advisors that we expect them to attend at least one of your meetings per month. Okay? Remember that when you submit things, it is your advisor who is notified first and they need to approve before anybody else will be notified. In a moment, we'll go into the resources section. There is a page called RSO links that I'll go over with you. You'll probably want to bookmark that page. There is a newsletter that I send to all organization officers every Friday afternoon. It's a very short newsletter, but please look through it. It's got important news, updated information, any kind of policies or procedure changes, and deadlines and other important information for organization officers. And please use VikesConnect. We encourage full use of the platform. It is there for your use. As I point out tools, you can use it or don't use it, but we prefer that you use it. And don't be afraid to ask. That's what I am here for. You can reach out to me, or you can reach out to our main office email, which is studentorgs@csuohio.edu. That ends the PowerPoint presentation of this training session. We are now going to go into VikesConnect. The first thing I'm going to point out is the student portal. This is what everybody sees when they first enter into VikesConnect. You'll notice I am logged in. You can see my name right here. I also have admin dashboard rights. If you don't have admin dashboard as an officer, please reach out to me. I'll make sure you get that. I do want to point out a couple of forms for you. I had mentioned that officer advisor update form. It is located also right here in the forms tab, as well as some other forms that you may use as an organization. So some of the forms that you use, you will be able to find here in the forms tool. I do want to talk a little bit about the resources, however. Second link down is the manual. This manual covers all the things that I went over with you during the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so all the stuff that I covered, you'll find in here. So if I go up to the table of contents, you'll see here things like being a recognized student organization and officers, agency account, allocations, which is funding, ShopNet, stuff about tax exempt status, event policies, travel policies, fundraising. So everything that I covered, you'll find here in the manual, just in greater detail. Understand that it is a living document. If there are new policies that impact student organizations, they will be added to the manual. So I try to keep it up to date for you guys. The other one is this RSO links. And this is the page that I would strongly recommend that you bookmark, because chances are you will probably use it at least once, if not more. I have everything that you need as an organization all on one web page, all broken down by category. Make sure you go through it quickly. There's a link to that same manual. I do have little short videos if you forget how to submit an event request. The PowerPoint that I just went through with you is located right here. You can download it anytime. Student government, out of the three funding bodies, is the only one that has guidelines posted. If student bar association and sport club give me anything, I will post them here as well. All your food related information for eating on campus, including the waiver request and the Rascal House order form. I give you links and information to all potential costs and other event-related information. I had mentioned the event classifications that Conference Services puts out. This is what it looks like. Notice that, you know, one of the things is admission fee or ticket sales required for admission. They say that's a Class 1 event, and they need to know 30 working days in advance. I always tell students, tack on an additional 5 working days to give your advisor enough time to review and approve. There's that event planning checklist I mentioned before. Make it available to you. Here's all the potential costs, room setup fees, and it's all on a spreadsheet, equipment fees, and that's on a spreadsheet. Here's your police charges, and it's explained, housekeeping charges, and this is the form that you must fill out and give to Conference Services if you're canceling or changing your event. If your organization is holding an event where there is the potential that somebody might be injured, please use this liability waiver template and fill it out for your use, and then have any of the participants sign it in case anybody gets injured. They don't sue your club or the university. We also provide you with a green event guide to consider being sustainable in your event as well. That comes from the Sustainability Office. I did mention contracts earlier. Depending on what's going on, will depend on which contract is being used. Again, this is a responsibility of your treasurer, but I have links to all of that information there. Links to the required vendors that you must use for clothing and promotional items, all of your travel information, and I do include a link to the University Parking Services van rental program. We did have organizations travel to local places as a group renting a van. Other forms that are mainly for your treasurer, there's your ShopNet form. There's the sales tax exemption form I mentioned before. Please, if you're going to a store, try to remember to fill this out and submit it. I'll get notified. You just let me know where you're going. I'll fill out the form for you and I'll let you know when you can come pick it up at my office. Okay? And then also, if you want printing or duplicating done, you ask them for a quote first. Just fill this form out. I give you links to fundraising ideas. These top two links are college fundraisers that you can check out. Group Raise is a website that shows you restaurants in the local area that do fundraisers. BW3, they have their own fundraising program. I provide a link to that. Both Browns and Guardians do have vending opportunities. We had clubs take advantage of that last year, made a couple $100 for their organization. Our sport management club facilitated a lot of that. So hopefully, again, this coming year, that will be available as well. And then a link to Mally's Chocolate Bar fundraisers. Mally's does have a relationship with the university, so that is permitted. And then the other forms, if you're updating your constitution, submitted here. Again, here's that same officer advisor update form. I also control the content on the video screens in the student center. If you have an event poster, electronic event poster you want to submit, do it here. And then I'm the person that creates the Viking newsletter you receive every Monday morning. If you have an announcement, you can submit it there. Those are the resources I provide to you. We're going to go into the admin dashboard now. One final resource is this help feature. Okay, this is made by Modern Campus. So I had mentioned checking people into your events. So if you were to type in event check in and hit enter, you'll see that there is an event check-in training section. Please read through this carefully. It'll explain how to check people into your events, either using the desktop version or the mobile app version. And it's got little videos embedded. So please watch that, go through that. That will explain it. If you still need help, please reach out to me. I do have 5 card swipes. If they're available, I'll let you use one and swipe people in that way. So please pay close attention to that. Also, if you need help, you can do live chat. They do have people on staff that will contact you when you reach out to them, and they will assist you. They have a really great support staff. All your tools will be found over here. You will not have the finance tool unless you are a treasurer. You'll notice that events and forms have their own tool. If you want to create an event, you can start by just going into this events tool. Same thing with creating an online form. You can go straight in that way. I would recommend, however, that you go through the organizations. That way you know that whatever you're creating is going to be attached to your organization. When you click on organizations, you will see the name of your organization. Now, understand I am a top-level administrator, so I see everybody. I have a pretend organization called the Fake Student Organization. Fake organization. Okay. So if you are missing anybody on your roster, like you'll notice here, I got 2 people listed as treasurer and a vice president. It'll tell you what officers you're missing. You should see in the category that you're merging if you're missing 1 or more officers. A lot of the information that is in your detail section transfers and is shown on the student portal side. So as an example, this little image here, oh, it did not load properly. Let me get it. I'm going to click the edit pencil. When you click the edit pencil, you see all the information that's located in the details. So this About Us section is this, okay? A little further down where your officers are located. So it'll pull this and show it down here, okay? While you're in your details, this is where your constitution is located, and right below your constitution, this is where your agency account number is located. Okay, so if you ever need to know what your agency account number is, click on the name of your organization from organizations, and then click the edit pencil, and you'll see all the information. This is also how you update the details of your page. So if you make any changes, this is where you make them. You make your changes, and then you'll see a submit button appear. After you make your changes, you click and submit. Pay attention to a couple of other things about your details. I'll see if I can get this to load this time. There's the image. So again, there's your agency account number and your officers and so forth. So you can edit this as many times as you would like. If anybody visits your page, if they click the contact button, whoever you have listed here will receive that message. So that's your details. That's where your agency account number is kept. We're going to skip events and attendees for a moment and go to your roster tool. Your officers will be listed above, and then your advisor, and then members of your organization. Understand that you do have some control over titles. You technically could make everybody say the president of your organization. However, that will not give them administrative rights. That is why you fill out that officer update form. Please allow me to give them the title and their administrative rights. Students cannot give other students admin rights. So be aware of that. This add members button, actually, for you, it'll be invite members is what you'll see. And you can send invitations to students to join your organization. I'll see if I can find another organization that has some invites. I believe this one does in their roster. So anytime you send an invite, they will show up below under pending invites. You can either resend an invitation, or if you choose to revoke it, it will remove their invitation. I would also urge you to go through your roster. If you see names of students you know have graduated, click the pencil and deactivate them. You do want to strive for an accurate roster, okay? You can also email your members by selecting this little email members selection. If you have a spreadsheet with names and CSU emails, you can also import people and export people. One final thing about your roster, if somebody visits your organization, and this one is not a good example, I'll find it. Notice this join button. If I was to click on this join button, I'm going to appear as a member on their roster. I know that some organizations have requirements to be a member. And so if you have something like that and you don't want students to be able to join your organization that easily, please let me know. There is a setting in your roster that I have access to. It's this one right here, and I can turn off that join button. You just need to let me know. So that is your roster tool. Your documents tool, I do know that some organizations use cloud storage or Google Drive, which is fine. You are permitted to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But we encourage you to use this document tool to save documents. You want to save documents that you want to leave for future officers. I have seen too many times where current officers will set up shared drives, but forget to give access to the incoming new officers. And then they can't see anything. You want to leave breadcrumbs for new officers. You want to leave information like meeting notes and plans and maybe passwords for social media accounts. When you add a document, maybe you want it only for officers. You can set the visibility to officers only when you upload a document. Again, this is only for documents such as PDF, Word documents, spreadsheets. You cannot upload pictures or any other graphic files right now. Your forms tool is the tool you use to create an online form. I know many organizations, again, use Google Forms, which is fine. There's no policy says you can't. However, this is a very powerful forms tool. I would recommend you go into the admin dashboard, type in create a form, and just like the check-in procedures, it has instructions with videos of how to create a form. Many organizations currently use this tool. Some use it as an application to join their organization if they have an application process. Some use it as an RSVP form for events that they're holding. Others use it as an event feedback form to garner reaction from an event that they held. Others use it as a voting ballot to hold officer elections. If you ever want to learn more about forms and need assistance, please feel free to reach out to me. I do want to now go into the events category. However, I'm going to use Campus Activities Board as I know that they have events currently scheduled. You'll notice up here is where you create your event by clicking the plus sign. Simply fill out the form. Now notice I went through Campus Activities Board page, and the system automatically knows it's Campus Activities Board. That's why I say if you start from here, it's not going to fill it in. So it's always better to go into your organization and go to your events tab to create your events. That way you know your event is going to be tied to your organization. You simply fill out the event. Try to be specific in things. Make sure that you understand as well, if you have a repeating event, each repeating event must be submitted separately. You cannot add additional times to the same event. So if you have like a bi-weekly meeting, if you know you're going to start on the 26th of August and say end at December, maybe 9th, if you were to submit the event like this, it's just going to look like one long event that goes from August until December. It won't know to break it up into chunks and do just 1 hour for each day. Okay, so you have to submit each one separately. So be aware of that. As you answer questions, it will lead you to other questions, and you just simply answer the questions. If you need help, I have a video you can watch, or you can reach out to me. Notice the very first question is, what is your organization's agency account number? Again, you know where it is now. It's in the detail section. Once you're done, just click submit for approval. Your advisor will be notified. They approve, and then I'm notified. I approve, and then finally conference services is notified. So here's an example of a request that was submitted. Notice here that the advisor did approve. As I look through this, I also notice this is for a meeting and they're doing it off campus. So conference services does not need to be notified. I'll simply approve this. And now this event will appear on this organization's event calendar. I do want to talk a little bit about the checking people in. When you check people in, if you use the desktop version, there's a card swipe that you can plug in, but you don't need a card swipe. All you simply have to do is find the event that you want to check people into, click the 3 stacked dots to the far right, and select attendees. Once you see this screen, click the Add Attendees button, and you can manually type in their CSU ID number. If they do have their card and you have a card swipe, you can simply get to this screen and swipe the card in. You will see the number appear there, and then you just check them in. You can also use the mobile app. Again, refer to the help in Modern Campus and the admin dashboard for more instructions on that. Aside from the fact that we want you to start checking people in, it does benefit your organization when you check people in because you're collecting information. So you can use this to your organization's advantage. As an example, you could send emails out to everybody that attended your last event, thanking them for their attendance and encouraging them to attend your next event. If you notice that the name of some students show up all the time, and you notice that students are coming to the same students are coming to your events, and they're not on your roster, send them an invitation. You can email them and say, hey, we noticed that you've been attending a lot of our events, but you're not a member. If you're interested, visit our page in VikesConnect and click the join button. Or if you'd like, we can email you an invitation, and then you would go in your roster tool and invite them. Okay. You could email them and say, hey, thanks for attending our event. We'd like to get feedback of how you enjoyed it. Please fill out our short little feedback form. And you created the form in VikesConnect. Okay. So all these tools work together for your benefit. We do want you to take advantage of that. That ends the training video portion of this. Please remember to take your quiz. Link to the quiz is found in the video description at the bottom in YouTube. Thanks for attending. Have a great day.